enemies had been killed, to her knowledge, by multiple foes and taken by surprise, but still he survived. Between Varan and the death priests, she had been quickly overwhelmed. Now she knew the death priests for what they were, necromancers of a sort. Throughout her life, Miranda had chosen to ignore clerical magic, as was common for most magicians on Midkemia, as being some sort of manifestation of the gods' powers. Now she regretted that oversight. Her husband, Pug, had been the only magician with whom she was familiar who had some insight into clerical magic, having made it a point to learn as much about it as he could, despite the tendency of the various orders to be secretive. He had learned a great deal about this darkest of magic because of his repeated encounters with the Pantathian serpent priests, a death cult with their own mad ambitions. He had confronted several attempts on their part to wreak havoc throughout the world. She had listened indifferently to several discussions on the subject, and now she wished she had paid closer attention. Now, however, she was learning by the minute. The death priests were clumsy and imprecise in their investigation, and often revealed as much about their own magical nature as they learned about hers. Their lack of subtlety worked in her favor. She heard her captor leave, but kept her eyes closed as she slowly let her consciousness return to the upper levels of her mind, every instant clinging to the insight she had just achieved. Then clarity returned, and with it, pain. She fought back the urge to cry out and used deep breathing and mental discipline to manage the agony. She lay up on a slab of stone, but stone that had its own evil nature, a sense of energy alien to Miranda. Simply touching it was uncomfortable, and she was strapped to it without benefit of clothing. She was drenched in perspiration and nauseous. Her muscles were threatening to cramp, and with her limbs restrained, the additional pain was unwelcome. She employed every trick at her disposal to control the urge, calm herself, and let the pain flow away. For almost a week she had undergone the Dasati examination, enduring humiliation as well as pain, as they sought to learn as much about her and the human race as possible. She was secretly grateful for their heavy-handed approach, for it provided her with two advantages. They had no experience with human guile, and they vastly underestimated her. She put aside her speculation on the Dasati and turned her attention to escape. Once trapped by Leso Varan and the death priests, she had quickly realized that her best course of action was to give her interrogators just enough truth to make credible everything said. Varan, his malignant consciousness currently inhabiting the body of the Sorani magician Winter Carter, had not appeared since she had been taken, a fact for which she was grateful, as he would have given the Dasati a far greater advantage in dealing with her. She knew he had his own mad agenda, and had only been in league with the Dasati for as long as it suited him, and cared nothing for the success of their insane ambitions, only for his own. She opened her eyes. As she expected, her Dasati captors were gone. For an instant she had worried that one might have lingered quietly to observe her. Sometimes they spoke to her in a conversational manner, as if chatting with a guest. At other times they subjected her to physical violence. There seemed little pattern or sense to their choices. She had been allowed to keep her powers at first, for the death priests had been supremely confident and had wished to see the scope of her abilities. But on the fourth day of her captivity, she had lashed out at a death priest with the full fury of her magic when he had presumed to touch her naked body. After that,